So this is the latest from Sarah Hilary. This is Blackthorn, and the little tagline on the cover says 6 deaths, 1 murder. Very sinister. Blackthorn Ashes was a housing estate near Cornwall overlooking the sea, but due to poor planning, 6 weeks after they moved into their new builds, 6 people died from carbon monoxide poisoning. The whole estate had to be abandoned and sits empty, with people's things still inside, just the way they left them on evacuation. Finding refuge in a local caravan park, the disgraced Gale family waits the outcome of the police investigation into what happened. Agnes Gale, the autistic adult daughter of one of the developers, who survived living on the estate, decides to try and find answers to some of the questions that the tragedy has raised. But in the process, she stirs up secrets that some would rather remain buried. This is a psychological thriller. It's from the author of the Marnie Rome series, which is quite acclaimed, and Fragile, which I reviewed earlier. So I will put a link to that below. I quite liked Fragile. This book has an odd timeline that's a little confusing, so I don't love its structure. It's broken into 2 timelines that alternate with chapter headings that count down to before and after. So it's like so many days till abandonment, or so many, and it's kind of confusing. The countdown aspect is just a little hard to follow, and that's not something that I pay that much attention to when I'm reading, so that, just didn't really love that. The split timeline doesn't really add anything to the narrative as a whole either. I find a lot of books lately have that kind of split timeline, alternating chapters thing, and I just think it's a bit overused lately. Maybe that's my personal taste, but I don't know. It didn't work super well here, and I don't think it didn't really add anything to the tension or anything like that. I really like this premise of the abandoned buildings holding secrets and them being located by the sea in Cornwall. It sounds like an explorer's dream to me. I don't know, I think that sounds like a fascinating thing to see, kind of almost like a Roanoke or something like that. Everything just left behind. I didn't realize that this exploration storyline was going to be right after the events of the deaths of the families there. From reading the blurb of the book, I thought it was going to take place sometime later. This way was a little bit less cool. The place is a little bit less mysterious and exciting, and a little more like a still active crime scene. And so that means that exploring is less about curiosity and more about breaking and entering. And I did kind of think, people may still want their stuff that are in those houses because they've only just evacuated them, really. And Agnes just walks through them with her younger brother, and it's sort of, they take things, and it's, I don't know, I guess that's kind of a minor thing, but I did just kind of feel a bit like it's not as exciting a story as if it's years later, But that aside, this book has a wonderful sense of place and atmosphere, with descriptions that give a feeling of kind of a deadly fairy tale, dark sleeping beauty kind of story. The houses have been named after thorn trees, and a mysterious gas leak is what causes people to die in their sleep, which is not a spoiler. Find out that pretty early on. But that means everybody sort of like died in their sleep, like a Sleeping Beauty sort of fairy tale thing. Obviously no one's coming to wake them up, but you kind of get what I mean, I hope. So something that bothered me a little bit with the premise of the book was that the UK has a pretty thorough process of permits and building applications and inspections and things like that. So the author seems to have done some research into building and how that whole process is executed and things like that, but she never addresses how the building works were passed by council if they somehow were being built on land that was going to sink and leak gases into the homes and that kind of thing. It's a flaw in the basic premise of the book. Like, if you can't believe that the basic premise would happen, then you're kind of already, off center with that. And I mean, it doesn't bother me too much, but I do think that it's really going to bother some readers who are just kind of going to look for that explanation as to why this could happen. The characters in the book are quite interesting. Agnes is gay, autistic, vegan. She has psychotic delusions. So she is the classic unreliable narrator that these books seem to love. I can't say, due to my lack of knowledge on the subject, whether she's well written as an autistic character, but she certainly is interesting, and her perspective is kind of unique and quite interesting to explore the world with her. So that was kind of good. I like that she's a little bit weird and different. We like that. Her younger brother has a bit of a sinister vibe and seems to have some secrets of his own. And yeah, I kind of liked, there's some hints that he was a little bit off, but you don't know in what way. So I quite liked that. It was really nicely sort of foreshadowed and whatever. I don't want to say too much there. My favorite character was a side character called Errol, who lives with his grandmother in another caravan. And he just has kind of a bit of a flair for the dramatic, and he sort of dresses in a kind of fun way, and he has a kind heart. He's a really nice friend in this book. So I really like the scenes that he was in. Yeah, so overall, I like this book fine. It's a little bit dull in parts. Not much happens for like some large parts of the book, so it's more of a slow burn. And some of what does happen, I guess if you read this genre a lot, you can probably see it coming. It seemed to go over the same ground a little bit because of that structure. There was a twist in the end, but it felt more in the nature of this genre than any real surprise to the reader, as far as I'm concerned. I think the premise works mostly, but if it had leaned into the abandoned house theme more and had a little bit more time pass before Agnes is visiting the houses and looking for answers, I think this would have had a dark, richer, just a sort of more mysterious tone that I think the author could have really leaned into that in a great way. Yep, entertaining enough read, has a few flaws. I think if you go for these psychological thrillers with unreliable narrators, or you like the sort of UK locations like Cornwall, then you're going to like this one probably. The book ticks the diversity boxes that publishers are looking for now, or readers are looking for now, so that's good. And the abandoned houses and atmosphere kind of add to the overall enjoyment. So that's kind of where you're at with this one. Yeah, so thank you to PGC who sent me a copy of this book to review and share with you guys, and thank you for watching. You can check out some of my other videos. I also have another channel and socials, so you can find links below if you want more of that. And if you want to hang out again, remember to like and subscribe, and you can always leave a comment, let me know what you thought, or let me know what else you might want to see. Thank you.